I've told this story so many times, but I thought since my page is growing and whatnot, I would just retell it. I told the TikTok version of this entire story in like 6 parts, like a year and a half ago. So I'm here to tell you the full thing like now, like just it all in one. And it's pretty much just me detailing my experience of moving from England and coming to America. This is where I am now. I'm still in America. As you can see, the ceiling fan, it is boiling hot today in Florida, Monday, the 22nd of July. So a little context, a little background about me. My name is Aidan. For those of you who don't know, who aren't really observant, I am from North London, Tottenham, Wood Green, wherever. I grew up in Tottenham for 9 years. Then we moved to Wood Green and I spent 6 years in Wood Green, which is basically the same thing, before I came here to live in America. My grandfather applied for us to live here in 2003, me and my entire family. When I say entire family, I split it into my mom, my aunt and her family, and my uncle and his family. Now, my uncle's part of the family, which at the time compiled of my 3 cousins and my aunt, through marriage. They ended up not bothering. There's a reason why, and I'm not gonna get into that. But we moved here in 2015, September 30th, 2015. And then my aunt and 2 cousins in the 3rd part of the family, they moved here, I wanna say 2.5 years ago now. So they've nearly been here for 3 years. Anyway, so he had applied for us and whatnot, and the applications were processed. And we could have gotten us stay in the country, and I could have moved here when I was 12. I moved here when I was 16. But my mum wanted me to finish secondary school in England, and then we go. That way, if I don't like it here, I can always go back to England. Spoiler alert, I never went back to England. So yeah, that's a little background information about me. I'm not from the nicest part of the UK, but you know, it is what it is. So I moved here September 30th, and it took me about 6 weeks to get into a school, and I ended up attending Felix Varela Senior High School, home of the Vipers, or whatever the motto was. It was a brilliant school, brilliant professors, you know, and I made a lot of friends. Now here's where the interesting part comes in. So my first day was November 6th, I want to say 2015. So just under 6 weeks, and I was nervous. I was terrified, I'm not gonna lie, because back home in England, you know, we grew up on the same programs that you did, you know, the American people watching this did. We had Disney, Nickelodeon, all of that. So I kind of got a sense of American culture a little bit. Of course, you can't fully grasp it until you're here, but I got a grasp of what it was like, you know, kind of. So, you know, watching all the American shows, you know, getting into like High School Musical and whatnot, which is completely different from what I experienced, you know, Lemonade Mouth, all of this stuff which featured high school. That's where my mind was, even though it was a musical and it was crap. Nothing like what, you know, I actually experienced. But I was nervous thinking about like if there's like a big high school bully or whatever. I was scared, I'm not even gonna lie. And being English, you know, at the time, it wasn't something that was made fun of. Although, you know, some people did imitate me, but I was never really bothered by that. You know, bullying in England for me was a lot worse. So it would take a lot for someone here to really get to me. You know, people were making jokes about the way I looked here, saying that I looked like Cleveland Brown, and I was laughing because that was nothing compared to what I was bullied for in England. So anyway, I'm not gonna go into gross detail, mainly because a lot of these things are irrelevant, but I am gonna break them down and not spend too long on them. So first things first, I was extremely popular. It was insane. My first day, my first week in fact, was absolutely incredible. I had made so many friends. I met so many different people from different backgrounds, you know, different beliefs, cultures, whatever, which, you know, you have quite a diverse culture in London as it is when you go to school in North London, especially. But being here, it was just like everyone had different tastes. People could dress the way they wanted. I know there was like a dress code, like a curriculum, a specific, you know, color scheme that you had to meet, which was like green, black, gray, because the main theme of the school is green and black. But you know, people still came in jeans and whatnot. They had their own style, they had their own swag, and everybody was allowed to be themselves. And one thing I noticed really quickly here is that people don't make fun of one another for the things that they have, like clothes and stuff. In England, if you never had kickers back in the day or some other shoes, you were considered moist. That's what they used to call you, moist, wet. So, you know, it was definitely an experience. My professors loved me. They let me get away with a lot. As I was adjusting into the school, they let me get away with a lot because in class, I never really cared too much, but I knew a lot of stuff. And for example, in my English class, we were reading Of Mice and Men, which I had already read and fully completed, as well as the book Fences over in England. So I already knew everything. So anytime I was able to speak about what a message conveys, what it means, you know, foreshadowing, all of that, my professor, you know, Miss Bennett, she was very, very impressed with me. So yeah, no, that was brilliant. My US history professor tried to get me some ladies and I fumbled it so bad. I was a junior at the time, so I was in the year below senior year, which is the final year of high school. And I must have went up to his class to go and get something. One of my professors sent me to go upstairs. Man, the senior girls, they're all older than me. And man, I went up in there, man. He's trying to get me to talk to the ladies. I'm shy, I'm fumbling it. And he was mad at me because I had him in the next class afterwards, after my computer class was over, my IT class was over. And he said, man, you should have stayed a little longer. They were trying to talk to you and they were talking about you after you left. I was like, damn, I fumbled that. I hella fumbled that. Anyway, so I could get into the whole ladies thing, but it's like, I don't want to because I've done that before and I don't want that to be the focal point of the story. Nevertheless, all my professors liked me other than my photography professor. I hated her, she hated me. I gave her attitude, she gave me attitude. She tried to expose me in front of the class for being lazy or whatever. I walked out. I did have a few behavioral. I was bad sometimes, put it that way. The principal threatened to put me in CSI, which is suspension, but we got along really well, so she allowed me. When it came to going back to England just to visit in February, I went to my secondary school and I got my records, and that was so important because my grades, my GCSEs, they were going to be thrown out in a week because we had already left the school. So I went back. It was nice to see everybody, you know, my old teachers and whatnot, telling them how it was, how it is. Some of the teachers couldn't care less, but the main ones did care. I got my GCSEs. I didn't just go back for my GCSEs. I went back to visit, but that was one of the things because they needed to get my credits and see, you know, what they could do with them. They had never had an English student in the school with GCSEs up until that point. So they tried to say the only way, like, because they were looking at my grades, which were very good, they couldn't translate them over because they didn't know how to. So they said I would have to start as a freshman and work my way up to senior year, which would be me studying with 14 and 15-year-olds. At the time I'm 16, I'm saying, I'm going on 17 in a few months. I'm saying, hell no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to start high school again. That's what America's like. So I ended up leaving because I didn't need the American US high school diploma. My English one was actually far ahead. So what they consider work you do in college here is what we do in secondary school in England. So that was able to get me into a whole bunch of other places. I ended up going to Miami-Dade College to take a course. I graduated. Then I went to a private college, which got shut down. That's for another story time. Then I went to Broward College, but I never graduated, unfortunately, because I decided that with my life, I wanted to do content creation and some other things on the side that I had built my craft on for years. And you know, it's going well so far since I really started locking in a few months ago. So yeah, that's how that went. I would say the things that they do differently when you compare schools in England to schools in America is, in America, of course, there's not a uniform, you know, so you don't have to dress strict or be in like strict clothing or whatever. They have something called pep rallies here, which was one of the most bizarre things I'd ever witnessed in my life. I'd never seen anything like a pep rally. It was mad confusing. So it's this, for me at first, this is the part that felt like High School Musical. So everybody's there, you know, they're singing their anthem or whatever, they're going in. I think you had to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which you would have to do every morning anyway. You know, there were cheerleaders, there were basketball players, but it was mainly like a performance thing. I think it used to happen on a Thursday or a Friday. And it would just be this whole marching thing, this whole big performance. It wouldn't happen all the time, but when it did, it was definitely a spectacle to behold. Look up a pep rally. It looks exactly like something from High School Musical. Literally the exact same. So yeah, that was definitely something to bear witness to. Because in England, the only performative thing that we would ever get was the Christmas play. And, you know, that would be us as year 6s and maybe like year 7s and year 8s that would perform. But after that, you don't really get any more plays. That's for the younger people in school in England. So, yeah, no, it was definitely interesting there. The theatre there, bruh, I have so many stories about college. That will have to be for another video. But, the culture there is completely different. It's kind of like what you would see in like these movies and stuff. So you had your jocks, your football players, you had your SoundCloud rappers, you had your Hello Kitty girls or those, e-girls or whatever. You had your, emos, you had your nerds, you had your religious people. And when I say religious, I mean strictly Christian, because there was no other religion up in that school. A lot of the school, you have your soccer players or your football players, of course, as we know it. And yeah, man, it was just a great vibe to be around. I was friends with a bit of everyone. So like everybody, I was friends with everybody. Everybody was friends with me. They tried to get me into the football team, this guy called Coach. I wasn't interested at the time, but now that I've actually gotten to learn football, it looks like a lot of fun. So it's definitely something I need to practice, that I would love to do on the side. I haven't really told anyone that, but it's just one of those things that I've grown to love. Did we have a basketball team? I think we did. You had baseball players, all of that. So yeah, man, I've got individual stories about individuals from that school, and it's like there's so many that I would have to separately get into. But yeah, no, it was great. I would give my time at school here in America a 10 out of 10. Although, I had a few slip-ups and I wasn't the best behaved, sometimes I was still well respected and, well appreciated by everybody around me. And when it was time for me to leave, it was a very emotional day because I was told something that I never thought I would hear in my life. And that was, my closest friends that I went to school with. They said, nah, everybody loves you. Even if they make fun of you, they love you because you brought something different to the school. You're completely different from anybody that's ever been here. The way you talk, the way you behave, the way you think, the way you answer questions, the way you're polite most of the time. It's completely different. We've never experienced anything like that. And, we thank you for it. So, that was amazing, to feel that love and to feel that appreciation. It was definitely one of the happiest times in my life, considering all the crap I was going through in England and how I was picked on a lot, and just made to feel small. It definitely was a 180 that really did change my confidence in life and my charisma and made me truly believe that I could do anything. So yeah, man, it was definitely a confidence booster. And then, we would have times after school where so many students and everybody, of course, would leave at once. There's no tutor time. There's no forum time like in England. You have your last class and then you leave. And there would be so many students just going to this one complex, this one area where there's all the stores, there's a CVS pharmacy, which has like all the snacks and drinks and stuff, McDonald's, Taco Bell, you got a library, you got a West Indian food spot, everything would be. And some of my friends would actually work for McDonald's, so they would leave class a little earlier and show up to work and then just like see everyone. And when I say that McDonald's was full to all capacity, oh my God, you couldn't get in. You couldn't get in. Everywhere was crammed. But it was still a nice vibe, everybody was friendly to one another there. You did have a few fights sometimes, you would witness things a few times and they were interesting. I remember this one girl called Danielle that got into a fight with another girl. And my mentor at the time had to break it up. I'll get into all of that another time because we're running short, running low on time here. But overall, any questions you guys have, I'll be more than happy to answer in the comment section down below. I'll probably tell the story of my college time, or my experience at Miami-Dade College, then Florida Career College, which was terrible, and they've been shut down. And then Broward College, which is incomplete. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching. This has been Aiden versus the world. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe. I will have story times coming out regularly because it's just my thing that I want to do, tell you experiences about my life, whether it's in the US or the UK. And I've decided that I want to do variety as well as mainly, of course, making FC content. So thank you all, and I'll see you guys whatever the next post is. I'm not entirely sure yet. Maybe it's a story time, maybe it's an FC video. We'll just have to see. And yeah, thank you for watching.